वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। In the 7th chapter, we have begun that set of 6 chapters where especially God's glory is sung. It's all about knowing God better. For most people who use the word God, don't know what they mean by it. A lot of spiritual seekers may even be engaged in various practices, but alas, they have a very limited idea of what God is. Therefore, it is necessary to study and do satsanga, whereby an intimate understanding of God comes about. So here we are, therefore, in this 7th chapter, where Sri Krishna talks about 4 kinds of devotees. And in the last verse that we saw, Sri Krishna was not holding back. He was praising all the 4 kinds of devotees. Even if you worship God for sake of money, you love God and ask of Him for name, fame, success in your project, for betterment of your family, 100 things. Why not? Lord Krishna says, Udaraha sarva evaite. All these 4, Artaha, Jijnasuhu, Artharthi, and Gnani, those who worship God because they are going through distress, those who worship God because they want more and more knowledge, and those who are worshipping God for the sake of more wealth. Then there comes the 4th one, Nani. He has no motive. Love for love's own sake, and that can happen only when someone is rooted in the understanding that I am already taken care of. I am already one with God. I am not even 1 inch away from God, and so on. If there is the jnana, then the bhakti accordingly gets transformed. If there is no jnana, with all due or good intentions, a man will be rather keeping some distance. Therefore, we have seen quite a bit about how Jnani, the 4th kind, is the dearest to Lord Krishna. This Jnani is now praised further. This Jnani is once more showered with the best compliments. In the 19th shloka, we see now, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. Literally taken, at the end of many lives, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, at the end of very many lives, Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. His state or her state has not come about overnight. There's a famous saying, Rome was not built in a day. While that sentence has its own significance, we do not dismiss it. But I was going over some literature where a wonderful motivational speaker, in fact, more than motivational, he is somebody who guides corporate people, or especially, I must like say more precisely, he guides people who start their own businesses, who are running their own businesses, how to run them better. Whatever the context may be, Rajiv Talreja, a very well-known guide or coach for people to take their business and scale it up, take it to greater heights, makes an interesting statement. He says, there is this old statement, Rome was not built in a day. He says that is a lie. The statement, Rome was not built in a day, is a lie, says this man, Rajiv Talreja of Bangalore. Then he adds with a little wit, Rome was built every day, no matter how long it took to build Rome. Every day a little was done. Therefore, what you do every day to build your business, or now we come back to the Gita's context, what you and I do every day, starting with the morning, how we start the day matters. Therefore, Rome is not built in a day or was not built in a day, has extra light thrown upon it. I don't think the two statements contradict each other, though in a manner of saying, Rajiv calls it a lie. I would not agree fully with him. Rome was not built in a day. It took a long time to build Rome, but I fully appreciate his clarification or his statement, his 2 cents on the matter. Rome was built every day. So you and I need to value the precious time that we have every morning. Someone like Robin Sharma wrote a book, The 5 a.m. Club. How you spend the first hour getting up at 5 a.m., let's say, which he urges you to do, how you spend the first hour, that can make a big difference. And he wrote a whole book, The 5 a.m. Club. So here and there we will refer to these CEO coaches or experts on value-based management, motivational speakers from the West or the East, because as far as the Yoga Shastra of Bhagavad Gita is concerned, all of them fit in very well. All of them will find a place in the scheme of things when it is about personality development, integration of our own within, putting broken things together. For you and I live a very fragmented life, a very confused life. We have some goal in mind, but the way we spend the day is not aligned with that goal. We may write that goal and put it on the wall or on the refrigerator. My goal is to be fully, intensely engaged in self inquiry. Someone may write, but then the whole day the lady or the man is running about for everything else other than self inquiry. Rama Rama. Why does one live like that? So that is where these motivational speakers, these guides on scaling up your business from couple of crores to maybe 100 crores company. What is involved in running your business more effectively? And all this, we are not directly connected with them, but there are bits and pieces of their practical wisdom which are necessary even in our own spiritual practices, or if we are running an ashram or a trust or a non-profit organization, very much involved. Therefore, Peter Drucker had said long back, the best way to run a non-profit is to run it like a business, he says. In no way he is talking be profit-minded. That is, he doesn't say put profit on top of the list, but he says What Peter Drucker meant was the kind of efficiency, the kind of clarity about goals, the kind of being very clear on objectives cannot be in a very loose and undefined and bringing high philosophy at the wrong place. So keep your philosophy at its right place. We bow down before that. But in running of the non-profit, an ashram or a temple or a church, etc., you got to have more or less all the components of running a good business, he says. Perhaps we cannot disagree with him at all. So now we go how Adi Shankara explains this verse. The verse literally says, a jnani has come wherever he has come at the end of many lives. And it doesn't mean this jnani takes many more lives to reach God, because the sentence can be interpreted that way also, but it will be more appropriate to say that he is whatever he is, thanks to the assiduous work he has done through life after life, day after day. Sri Shankaracharya says, Bahunam Janma Janmanam Nanartha Samskara Ashrayana. Each of his lives, and in the light of what we have said already, every day of his life was spent in as though collecting the sanskaras. Because for the great leap from the time to the timeless, there has to be a big and ample support of sanskaras. Sanskara is what makes you go in this direction instead of that direction. Somebody is going to a temple, but if he has great sanskara for some refreshments and coffee, on the way he finds, oh my, I have not visited this restaurant for a long time. And here, particular dish is made so well. And the coffee here is unparalleled. And he just goes to the restaurant first. Sanskara, call it sanskara, or in some context, vasana. They are not identical, but at places they come together. So sanskara, and we don't want that in the spiritual domain. We want to reduce those sanskaras, those impressions, those memories which erupt as vasana. And vasana leads to an action. Vasana is behind everything we do, but vasanas are a subset of sanskaras. Sanskaras are a large body of impressions, of memories, of judgments, of values, of certain sense of this is nice, that is not good, judgmentalism, all that is in the body of sanskaras. Then a subset of it makes us do, go for enjoying something, or sometimes getting wild at somebody, and so on. Nanartha samskara we want. This sanskara for food and drink, for comforts, for monetary profit, and those things do not lead us to jnana. They lead us to ajnana. They strengthen our ajnana. Jnanartha samskraya ashrayanam janmanam ante samaptau jnanavan prapta paripaka jnanaha. When his jnana has gained such maturity, starting with bookish knowledge, he advances and comes to what we call in the Vedanta aparoksha anubhuti. Directly he realizes, I am God. God is me. In other words, God alone is. Swami Virajeshwarananda, the founder of Hamsa Ashrama near Bangalore, in his autobiography writes, he had a friend during probably 1970s or so, called Sharmaji. And this Sharmaji in Mumbai, in the busy city of Mumbai, was claiming that he had realized God. So Swami Virajeshwaranandaji asked Sharmaji, very close friend at that time, what do you mean you have realized God? And Sharmaji says, I tell you, I was praying and God came to me. And God said to me, what did God say to you? I am everything, God said, and you are nothing. That's it. Sharmaji that day onwards lived in a certain sense of, I have realized God. Whether he really realized God or not is not clear. However, in that particular experience he had, some may look at it as real, some may look at it as an illusion and hallucination, doesn't matter. But this Sharmaji, who was running a little factory outside Mumbai, somehow making two ends meet, was there onward totally interested in spiritual discussions. So look at what he called his God realization. God came to me and said, God said, I am everything and you are nothing. And Virajeshwaranandji also, as I understand, did not or does not give him a certificate of God realized man, but deeply appreciates that particular experience Sharmaji had. And he gives a Vedanta interpretation. Well, something that went into him so strongly is not different from what the Upanishads say. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. God alone is. Leave alone my problems. Leave alone my anxieties, my concerns, and here and there my accomplishments, my plus points. That me who claims all these plus and minus is nothing. There is no me. God alone is. And having said it, I must share with you, Virajeshwaranandji shares one or two incidents. One deserves mention. When he was going with Sharmaji in a little car in Bombay on the streets, Sharmaji would sometimes drive quite fast and violate signal rules. And once the police caught him and took him to task. But he just said itself, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize I was breaking a rule. And the police let him go. After that, Sharmaji says to Swami Virajeshwaranandji, you know, I I don't drive the car. God only drives the car. And God makes me go by rules sometimes, violate rules at other times. And believe me, I have violated rules a number of times driving in Mumbai, but every time police let me go. He laughed and then continued to drive, it seems. So sometimes with certain people who may not be all that scholarly, who may not have done the regular kind of tapas, we see some kind of insight which becomes pivotal in their life. Anyway, now on a more serious note, Jnani Prapta Paripaka Jnana, a lady who has become a Jnani Bhakta, how does she stand apart? The wisdom in her has matured. You and I should ask ourselves, is our wisdom mature or are we still playing with words? Are we just talking machines? And I should introspect. Mam Vasudevam Pratyagatmanam Prapadyate. Shankara gives a typical Advaita interpretation. To attain God in its most precise form is to know God alone is operating here. God makes the rivers to flow, said Eknath Ishwaran, wrote a book with that title. God makes the criminals commit crime, the saints do good work on the earth. It is God who does everything. Harihi Karta, Harihi Bhokta, it is said. So, God is the Pratyagatma. He is the inner self. Vasudevaha Sarvam iti. From the shloka. Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabaha. I said from the Chandogya Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. And Acharya Shankara draws from the shloka itself. Vasudeva Sarvam. Everything is Brahma, a non-dual Satchidananda Tattva. Everything is God, Vasudeva, Sri Krishna. They don't make any difference. This God is such whoever surrenders to God. Surrender and you are done. Ya evam sarvatmanam mam narayanam padyate. Narayana is the inner self. Sarvatmanam, sarvesham atmasaha is the inner self of all. For heaven's sake, do not imagine God is only in your heart. That would be Advaita distorted terribly. If you ever think of God as being in your heart, you would do well to remind yourself God is in everybody's heart. Sarvatmanam mam narayanam prapadyate samahatma na tatsamaha anyosti. There is no Mahatma like her. She is unparalleled. There is no one equal to her. Tat samaha anyaha nasti adhikova. And there's no question of somebody higher than ataha durlabha. That kind of a lady saint or a man saint is extremely hard to find. Adi Shankara, rather than making his own comment, quotes from the third verse of this very chapter. Was it not said by Sri Krishna earlier in the chapter? Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschidhyatati siddhaye. One in thousands tries, walks this path. Therefore, don't lament that nobody comes to satsangs, nobody these days is interested in Vedanta. The world has always been like that. It is only one in thousands who actually finds the study of Vedanta meaningful. Itihi uktam, he means because. Because it is said before, no further explanation is needed. Therefore, as Adi Shankara himself uh, began or introduced this shloka is one more praise. More praise is heaped upon the Jnani Bhakta. But then you and I are happy to know about this great Jnani. Namaste. Namaste to him. But we are concerned. Why are we not there? Why are we left behind? We also have been studying. We also have been praying. We also have been meditating. Why? Shankaracharya raises that very question as though on our behalf. Atmaiva sarvam vasudeva iti evam apratipattau karanam uchyate. Vasudeva sarvam iti apratipattau. Pratipatti means understanding. Pratipatti is right understanding. Apratipatti means the vast majority of you and I haven't got it yet. We are like those people. In Kannada, there is a saying. Somebody saw clearly a pit at midnight in the dark. He avoided it. Next day, he fell into it in broad daylight. How foolish. The pity that you were able to see at midnight when it was so dark, you didn't see during the day. What a folly! How foolish! Like that, in lectures, while attending satsangs, you nod and you say, how beautiful, how nice. And then during your actual daily life, you do such terrible things. You become so foolish. So why? Why does it happen? The 20th verse says, Kamaistaiस्तैः धृतज्ञानाः प्रपद्यन्ते अन्यदेवताः तं तं नियममास्ताय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया. Third chapter also he has said it in no uncertain terms. Kama esha krodha esha rajo guna samudbhavaha. He declared when Arjuna asked, why does a man commit sin? Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purusha. Why does man commit sin? Knowing very well he should not be doing it. The answer that Bhagavan gave was, there is this mysterious error-born tendency called kama, wanting instant gratification, wanting gratification with such strength that you don't, for a moment you say, I don't care anything else. Like somebody at an airport saw that boarding had started. Then he also saw there was a new Starbucks opened there in that very walkway. You know, I want to have a cup of Starbucks coffee. I've always been a fan of Starbucks. Not all are. Some people don't like Starbucks at all. I'm not advertising for Starbucks here. But here was this man. Quickly, I will take a cup of Starbucks. But there were a few people, a small line, and so on. This guy missed the flight itself. So they shut the door and they gave him a hard time. No, sir, we announced last call for boarding, last call, etc. We announced, we put on the screen, where under the sun were you? So a lot of inconvenience. That is common. Whether it's for a cup of coffee or for anything under the sun, this world is full of temptations. Even the learned people fall for it. Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha, said Sri Krishna in the Sthita Prajna portion. Vipaschitaha, someone very intelligent otherwise at other time. Indriyani pramathini. The senses are so powerful, they churn you up. Pramathana shilani. You had Viveka a second before, a minute before. But now where that Viveka vanished, Sri Krishna only knows. Therefore the shloka says, Rita Jnana. These Bahuvrihi compounds have a charm of their own. Rita Jnana. Rita means stolen. Jnana is wisdom. And the word means people whose wisdom is stolen. Indriyas have robbed away their wisdom. And Brihadaranyaka Upanishad has Yadnavalkya warning Vidagdha Shakalya. Don't talk in some insensible manner. You are losing a sense of relevance. You are asking me irrelevant questions for the sake of asking questions. If you ask that once more, if you say that once more, your head will fall. That's what Vajnavalkya says. And Vidagdha Shakalya, in some kind of negative state of mind, continues to ask Yajnavalkya some kind of disrespectful question. You know, in discussions also, there is some decor to be maintained. Discussions have to be conducted in a dignified manner. For example, Brother it was not the same, some other violation, but I'm giving a parallel example. You cannot go into personal issues. You cannot attack somebody on a personal front. If you are discussing zoology, stick to zoology. Talking about chimpanzees or some monkeys, suddenly don't say, you seem to be born of chimpanzee only 3 generations ago or some such thing, attack on. Then, then the other side will not be wrong if they take some action on it. They disqualify it. If this is the way it's talk, I'm getting out of this debate. We are here to discuss Darwin's theory of evolution. We are not here to attack personally, throw brickbats at each other. If you once more say something personal about me or my family or my spouse or my children or my da da da, I will walk out. And some people do walk out. And some others walk out where the question was not irrelevant, but all of a sudden their ego gets hurt, they walk out. So all those who walk out are not like Yajnavalkya. Anyway, in that instance, there is a wonderful side to that story. Yajnavalkya says your head will fall. And when Vidagdha Shakalya, in the ninth section, who is the eighth questioner, because 2 sections are devoted to the same person, namely the lady Gargi, who asked the question. Therefore, 8 people spread across 9 sections, 9 Brahmanas of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, 3rd chapter, ask question. Vidagdha Shakalya again asks some irrelevant question. And his head falls on the earth. That's what is said in the Upanishad. Now, the Upanishad adds another piece. Yajnavalkya did not say it, but Upanishad says his head fell and thieves came and took away his head. Thieves came, robbers came, daylight robbery, not of gold or silver, the fallen head of Vidagdha Shakalya. So like that for me it is very symbolic. If you are carried away by lust and greed, you are carried away by attraction to pleasure, gold, wealth, power, name, fame, and openly or in a form of a hidden agenda, then you become Bhritadjnana. All this came because the word Bhrita, robbing away, taking away, stealing. They had wisdom in a sense, but it's gone. They don't have. So when spiritual seekers nurture or harbor, I should say, they harbor certain worldly desires. They do not eliminate certain worldly attachments, which is not easy. If Krishna repeatedly says in the 15th chapter, he is going to say, take the sword of detachment and cut this tree of samsara. Asanga shastrena dridhena chitva. How many can do it? Very few. Prapadyante anya devata. Therefore, when our wisdom, our viveka is stolen by certain lower desires that we have in our bosom, when we worship, we resort to Anya Devataha. So literally Anya Devataha, there are Indra, Varuna and so many others, the lower gods. They are not the supreme God. They are certain entities which have borrowed certain power from God. Likewise, in a symbolic manner, in a way that is more relevant in modern times or makes sense to most people, for example, politicians. You are all set to go to Tirupati Balaji. You have promised God, you have said to God, if my son gets well from this COVID, I will, before the next Samvatsara begins, I will come and have your darshan, make some offering, something you have said. And you delayed and delayed and delayed. Next week is Yugadi. The new Samvatsara begins. Let's say March or April, the new Samvatsara starts. And you say, oh my God. And you pack necessary things to go to Tirupati, Balaji for 2 days and do the necessary puja or whatever offering. All set. But previous evening, the chief minister of your state calls directly, come tomorrow morning, I want to assign to you a special project. You will head the project. And so many crores will be made available to you. You use it and run the project. Kamaihi taihi taihi pratajnana. Call from chief minister. He directly spoke to me and he has chosen me of so many other possible candidates to run this project. How? If that urge overpowers you, you say, Venkateshwara, Timappa, I will come next week. And you go to meet the chief minister. And God forbid, it can even happen this way, as politicians are known to accept certain very disciplined leaders who exist in every country. Majority are not so disciplined. You cancel your visit to Venkateshwara in Tirupati and go to Vidhana Saudha, let us say, or if it is in Andhra Pradesh, in legislative, the place of the chief minister in Hyderabad, wherever, only to be told, this morning the chief minister has gone away urgently somewhere. Maybe to Tirupati he went. He made you cancel your Tirupati visit and frightened by something or whatever, he went to Tirupati to pray to Lord Venkateshwara. Your plan got cancelled. Anyway, I need not dramatize it so much. Anya Devataha means any power, any position, any personality, any entity which is a notch or several notches below Supreme God Vasudeva Sri Krishna. And once you and I sign in for other devatas, other powers that be, we don't know how long it will take to get out of it. In search of money, in search of a better standard of living, in search of some pleasure, as I called it, some gratification, you and I lose years, decades, whole life, or even several lives. Because tam tam niyavam astaya, once you sign in for the so-called loyalty to politicians or loyalty to some other, these days a word is very popular, ecosystem. You subscribe to an ecosystem. There are many who go abroad, which is fine, and they are bright, brilliant. They bring good name to, I'm talking from India's point of view. India is often proud of them, but afterwards you come to know that with all their glory and greatness, They have completely signed in, subscribed to, they have become complete loyal to the American, you know, structure of priorities. America first. Everything else comes later. We will stand for American interest. I believe when people become citizens, they have to take an oath of that kind, which also by itself is not bad, but there should be an overriding uh, thought at that time, though not spelled out there. America first, fine. You are becoming a citizen. You stand for your country, which is the adopted country. But at the cost of dharma, at the cost of what is right? Of course not. Nor did the people who write that down mean it fully. After all, taking oath and constitutions of various countries, so they are all written in some good spirit. But then one has to know a higher viveka. So I'm just trying to comment on Niyamam Asthaya. Bhishma and Drona, it seems, did it. They subscribed to Duryodhana. They signed in for Duryodhana's camp. And they stood like mute spectators when Draupadi was insulted, was so humiliated. Bhishma and Drona. But I don't want to get more into Mahabharata. I'm not an expert on it. And Mahabharata is one of the biggest brain teasers the world has ever seen. Why such and such great people behaved in such and such way? There are commentaries and anti-commentaries and anti-commentaries. Why great people went for a system, niyama. Even this caste system, for example. While Vivekananda, Chinmayananda, and many reformers have the loudest voice talked about how Varna is by qualities, personality type, the fact remains that so many kings in our history, so many kings and emperors who were regarded very noble, very virtuous, we adore them. For example, in South India, as an example, everywhere in the country there are such. Someone like Krishna Deva Raya, Vijayanagara Empire he ruled. Vodayars of Mysore, they also are highly adored. Even today, though you and I have moved to a latter part of history, but we hear and even in Mysore, even today, there is a king with limited powers. We respect him. The bitter truth be said, all those great kings whom we highly revere actually went by the caste system based on birth. Of course, even today there is a large number of people who believe in that, but otherwise reformers have given a different return. So it's another, disturbing a hornet's nest. Caste is, I'm not qualified to talk more on it. I have imbibed certain principles from masters like Chinmayananda and Vivekananda. That gives us certain satisfaction about the fairness of scriptures. But otherwise, the ground reality has been for centuries, for thousands of years in this country, caste was by and large, 90% at least, by birth only. But the philosophical interpretations are different. So I just went a bit to a wider range of consideration, taking this word niyamam. Wherever you draw salary from certain system, you you know you have drawn a lot. Bhishma and Drona drew a monthly salary in a manner of saying from Duryodhana. tam niyamam asthaya. So the injustice that were done to, let's say, the fourth Varna, Shudras, is really terrible over thousands of years. So, because everybody subscribed, the kings, emperors subscribed. And I don't hesitate to mention in Ramayana, Lord Rama himself sends Shatrughna to go just kill a certain Shudra called Shambhuka. Shudra Tapasvi is called. Because the laws, the constitution, the system was such. Certain, I don't know what austerity it was that he was doing, but some austerity, some tapas, some mantra, some japa, some kind of practice was not allowed for Shudras. And Shambhuka was doing it. Shatrughna went and with one sway of his sword cut off the head of Shambhuka. It can be a, it's a hornet's nest. You go into it, your head will spin. But human life, let me say this and complete, have always been like today. American citizens have so many privileges all over the world. There are so many countries where just showing the American passport, they just walk in. Passport, US, so many countries. Not just walk in, then they are given some red carpet welcome also at many places. A Jnanpith Award winner from India, let's say someone like Kuvempu, goes to European countries, they say, wait, your passport shows India. That is another caste system. There's another discrimination. You may say, no, but there is some agreement and there is some, there's some basis. There was basis for all this Varna Vyavastha also. You think it was without any basis? The basis can be found, justification can be found. You know why it is so? The Mughal rulers collected tax by anybody visiting Kashi. Hindus visiting Kashi had to pay a tax, and the Mughal rulers had a justification. No, this was passed by the emperor himself, and it is because of this such and such reasons, and so on. So, this ethics, this morality, what is right, what is wrong, various issues. Was Gandhi truly noble? Or was Gandhi, did Gandhi also make Himalayan blunders? Another hot topic these days, Rama Rama. But this is not the topic in this shloka. I am only explaining niyamam. Once your mind is swayed by some other benefit, some other labha, some other thing you want, rather than pure love of God. That is how someone like Ramana Maharshi kept away, not escaping, but he knew that these people getting into all these issues, social issues, will move away from who am I inquiring. During Maharshi's time, Brahmins sat on one side, non-Brahmins sat on another side during lunch. And somebody asked Maharshi Ramana, why this discrimination? You are sitting in the middle. To your right are the Brahmanas, to your left are the non-Brahmanas. Swami, why is this discrimination? I don't know in what tone he said, with what voice he said, with what facial expression he said. I wish there was a video of it, but there isn't. But it is recorded. He said to that visitor, why have you come to this ashram? To know about self-inquiry, right? Conduct self-inquiry. And kept quiet. A brain teaser. Friends, a lot of these social, political, moral, all these are very hard to resolve. Dharma is very hard to come upon. You and I should do antashodhana. We must again and again examine, have I been swayed by something selfish, something very personal, for my personal gain, for my personal attachment's sake? Have I been interpreting even the Shastra to my convenience, to my community's convenience, to my organization, to my linguistic group's convenience, to my ethnicities, etc.? There are so many things. Right? So, niyamam. Anya devataha kimartam kasmat karanat prapadyante kamena apahrita jnana. Therefore, Mahasano Mahapapma Vidyena Meha Vairinam, said Sri Krishna in third chapter. This kama, this selfish desire, I, me, and my, what I do is right, what others do is wrong, and such things, my God, this Mahasana, it devours everything. It makes us commit sins of unthinkable magnitude. Be careful. Prakritya niyata swaya. When somebody is into that ecosystem, that looks very good. That seems to be right. And all other ecosystems, all other moral systems, ethical systems, social systems, political systems look fraught with flaw. Ah, that is not right. This, where I am, is right. And so on. We will go into Shankara Bhāshya on this class. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya.